Hello and welcome to today's Alteryx training. I am Fagman Viking, a data scientist at Syndro, and today we're going to be looking at preparation tools. All right, and these tools basically helps to prepare your data for further processing. Right, and today we're going to be looking at one of the preparation tools, which is the record ID tool. Okay, so the record ID tool basically is used to create a new column in your data, right? And it's just like a unique identifier where you can see the number of records, right, in your data. So you can actually use the record ID to achieve that, to see the number of records in your data. And of course, it's increases incrementally or sequentially. And what I mean is that it increases from 1 to 2, 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 and the likes. Okay. And it actually comes in handy when you want to do some manipulations in Alteryx. Probably you want to do like a transform, or you want to, do a cross tab. Sometimes, you need the record ID to achieve some of this manipulation on how you want to structure your data. So it's not just a tool used for record or to count number of records or something, right? It's actually comes in handy. If you want to probably count number of records, you might probably use the count tool, which is like an inbuilt macro, right? And but we'll be getting there. So this is this symbol for the record ID tool. Of course, it is encoded in blue because it is one of the preparation tools. Okay, so let's go to Alteryx and see how to use the record ID tool. Okay, so we're here now in Alteryx, and then to get the record ID tool, you need to go to the preparation tool palette. And just in case you can't find the record ID tool here, there's no need to panic. You just come to this button, the add or remove tool button, and when you click, then you go to the preparation tool palette, and then you look for the tool in here, and then you check it if it's not checked, and then you click on OK. And then you're going to come back to the preparation tool palette, and then you should be able to find your record ID tool. Okay, so I'm just going to drag in, let's see, just drag in the data in here. For example, let's drag in the, let's see for the Titanic data set. Okay, so now I don't want to use this. Let's look for the Superstore data instead. It's actually a very popular data set, and use the other table. So you can, this is where you click to see tables if you are, or sheets, right? If you are connected to, if you are trying to connect to an Excel file, right? So click on OK, and then I'm going to add the browse to here. Okay, so this contains a row ID already, but I'm going to remove it using the select tool. So you can actually watch my video on the select tool and see how to use the select tool. All right, so I use to run this. Just in case you're on a Mac, you have to use the command R. Okay, or you can just click on this run button, which is actually easier. But I guess I'm used to shortcuts. All right, so this is data we have for the sample superstore data. And of course, this record in here is just, you can see 18, 19, 20 is just done by Alteryx. If we output this, we are not going to see this field in here, all right? So to add a record ID to, right, you just come to the preparation tool palette, and then this is the record ID tool, and then you drag it here. Okay, so you can see we have configuration for this, and then you can actually name it anything. So we can probably name it number of record, right? and then this starting value is where you want it to start. Okay, and of course you will always want it to start from 1. Depends on what you want to actually achieve, right? So, and then the type, you can either pick a numeric value, and of course we know that in 16, in 32, and in 64, they differ by size, right? So if you pick int 32, the size is going to be different from int 64. Okay, so I'm just going to pick like int 64, for example. And this position here is just should this record ID be attached to the first field, or should it be attached to the last field? So we're going to check for both configurations, and then if I run this now, you're going to see. You can see number of records here, and then you can see that this is what sequentially increased, right? You can see here that we have 100, 101, and the likes, right? And you can see we chose to come to the metadata and see that this is in 64. So let's pick in 32 or in 16 to see what is going to change. Okay, so let's pick in 16 now, and then if we run this, as you can see that the size differs, like I said, right? So just the size of the field, right, is going to differ, just like what the auto field will automatically do, right? So that's about that. So if we choose the last column, and let's just rename this to my count, right? So like I said, you can rename to anything, and then if we run this, for example, and then see data, and then I choose last column, that means the record ID is going to be in the last column, and then I named it as my count. Then you can see it here, right? So, but most times I just prefer using the first column, right? I just prefer using the first column because it makes me see my data. I just like my structure that way, all right? So you can see my count here. Right, so let's even try and just toggle this to, let's start from 5 and see what happens, okay? So you can see that this starts then sequentially increases, okay? You can see, right? So, and one other thing is that you can actually pick string values, right? Instead of integer value, you can actually pick string values. I'm just going to return this to 1 and actually just type in here 1. Okay. So what happens if we pick a string value, right? Now you can see for the integer values, the numeric fields, right? The size was grayed out, right? That means this automatically suggests a size for the type, the numerical type, right? So, but for string, the size is now visible. We can, change the size. So first off, let's run this without changing. So this is like a default size. And let's see what happens if the size is reduced. So here we can see that we are picking 6, size 6. And then you can see if you count, this is 6, right? And you can see that. So if we have like a 6 digits, for example, we have in here, our maximum record is 4 digits, right? 9,994, which is like 4 digits, right? So we can see here, let me just scroll down. So you can see we still have 2 size not used, right? So what if we have something less? So let's say we have 4. Of course, this is still going to work without errors. Still going to work without errors. But if you check my count, you can see my count is now a string and no longer a what, a numeric field, right? But then if we change this to let's say 3, for example, what happens? What happens to these records? For example, what happens to these records? What happens to any records that has more than 3 digits, right? It's going to be truncated, and if you see, you have several that this is going to be truncated, right? You can see it started from 8,000, right? Which is four digits, comprises of 4 digits, right? And then you can see in here, right? And let me show you how this was truncated. Okay, so let's start from 8,000. So you can see here, right? So look at this. Okay. Um, okay. So I'm just going to use this. So you can see from here, 8,000 has now been truncated to what? 100. So the best advice or the best thing to do when using the record ID is either you pick a string, a numeric value, or whenever you pick a string value, just increase it to the to a reasonable size. Okay, so for example, like 8, so you do not have any truncation happening, right? And if you are going to be using like a macro, or yeah, if you're going to be using like a macro, I just advise most times to just leave it at the numeric field, right? And then just run this, right? So that do not have any truncation, right? So that's about it for the record ID tool. It's actually very useful when you want to probably have like unique identifiers for your records. And it's actually useful too when you would probably want to do like a transpose or a cross tab, and then um, you want to select like a unique field where you can use to do this transformation. So that will be all for the record ID tool. Thank you for watching today's tutorial, and I hope to see you next time.